Hello, friends. Welcome to Solo Dining. This is Karen Marie. Today we're making deep fried hand pies. First, we're starting out with the dough. Since I am making two separate pies, I am doubling the dough, but I'm going to give you the ingredients for the regular hand pie recipe. The dough ingredients are going to be 1 1/4 cup of all purpose flour, one stick, which is a half a cup of cold unsalted butter. I'm using salted butter, as you can tell. One large egg, quarter teaspoon of salt. That's if you're using unsalted butter, and 2 to 3 tablespoons of ice water. But as I said, I am doubling this dough because I'm going to make a sweet potato pie later. And so instead of just making two separate doughs and bringing out the stand mixer, where, a couple of times you don't even need a stand mixer, but I am using a stand mixer at this time because I am making two doughs. And that's going to be two. I think this is like you can use this as a 9-inch pie dough. So that'll make two 9-inch pies. But I'm going to make this recipe and cut it in half and make my hand pies with that. And so that's what I'm doing now. So I've added the flour, I've added the salt. I added a little bit more salt anyway, just in case. But even though I'm using salted butter, also you need to add it 1 egg. But I'm adding 2 eggs for this recipe. But I'm going to give you that again. It's 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, one stick of butter, one large egg, a quarter teaspoon of salt, and 2 to 3 tablespoons of ice water. That's if you're just making one dough. Now here I am uh, grating the butter. It's supposed to be making life a little easier, but hey, doing what I can with what I got. Made it a little bit easier, but still, even though my butter was cold. But anyway, I got that part. Working on that. Still gonna be good. Still gonna be good. I hope you guys are doing all right out there today. I am doing wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Just getting this dough out of the way so that I can make some yummy, yummy hand pies. Now, I like this dough. And it's basically for a bottom crust. Now you do it differently. If you're gonna do a top crust, you don't add the egg. But there it is. Now I just want to finish with my fingers any big lumps that I didn't cut all the way up when I was doing the grating part of the butter. Just kind of feeling for it and seeing if I can get some of that out of there. And so now it is time for me to add both of these eggs. And so I'm just going to go ahead and stir those up and get them incorporated into the flour and butter and salt mixture. It's a real easy dough. And I like it because it's easy to work with as well. When you get ready to roll it out and do about with it, it's really easy to work with. So I like that too. It's not fussy like it could be. You really don't want to handle it too much, but hey, they're my pies. I'm gonna handle them. Ah, but you don't want to get the dough warm. Um, yeah, that's not gonna be good. So put that back on there. It's really easier this way since it's so large. It's easier for me, and so I am adding some ice water. Not too much, just enough to let it come together in that stand mixer. Just enough to come together. Probably add a little bit more. Yeah, it's getting ready now. Look at it. It's slowing down. So it's doing what I want it to do. Add just a little bit more water. And then it is ready for me. Yep. It's ready now. It was easy. It didn't take a lot of hard work for me. And then when you do it with just your one dough, you won't need your stand mixer. You can do that part by hand. It'll still come together for you, and it'll be right. It'll be perfect. I love fried hand pies. I remember when I was a little girl, my aunt, she was one of the greater cooks in the family. My grandmother was the best cook, but next to my grandmother was my aunt. And I mean, she could really cook. And man, I would go to her house over in Little Rock, and my goodness, she had that house smelling so good. And I remember one time I was going over there, and she was gonna make these peach fried hand pies. And my goodness, I had never tasted nothing so good. Boy, I tell you the truth. So she got that together, and she had that big cast iron skillet, and I watched her make those pies and fold them up, fill it with that good filling, and then she rolled them out and rolled that dough out and put that in there, and I just couldn't wait. I watched her drop them in that hot oil, and I think she used lard back then. I don't know, but I tell you, that was some good. And she didn't even put icing on them. They were good. Now you know it's good when you don't put icing on the outside. Just eating the pie and the filling. But her pies were good. And she did add, they were just flavorful. And that's what made me always love fried pies, standing there. And she had this big old pretty smile on her face while she was cooking. She knew they were good. She knew I was waiting for that pie too. Boy, I tell you, I must have been what, maybe about 10, maybe 9, 10 years old. That was a good day there. There you go. Now you put that in the refrigerator. Now we're getting ready to make the filling. And I'm using a small 14-inch can of peaches. And I'm going to chop those peaches up because you don't want whole peaches in your hand pies because you don't want the filling to fall out. So I'm using a 14-ounce can of peaches, and I added the juice in there, and then I have 2 tablespoons of butter, a quarter teaspoon of ground nutmeg, half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a pinch of salt, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I added basically I added a quarter cup of brown sugar, and I added a quarter cup of granulated sugar. And you got your teaspoon of vanilla extract is what I use. And I ain't gonna lie, I slipped in an extra teaspoon of vanilla extract because I love it. I don't know, I just do. And the cornstarch, I made a cornstarch slurry, and that's gonna thicken the filling. So there's my quarter cup of brown sugar that I added to the mix because that's gonna taste wonderful. Okay, now I'm adding some cinnamon. Gonna put the butter in here now. Melt that butter in there, get it nice and buttery. There's nothing like real butter, I tell you the truth. You can use all the substitutes you want, but I tell you, there's the unmistakable taste of real butter. Now I'm grinding up some nutmeg, freshly ground nutmeg. Add that vanilla extract. And my grandbaby, the first time he smelled that, he said, "Ooh, Nana, that smells good." He wanted to taste it. I said, "Oh, you don't want to taste it. You don't want to taste it. It's not going to taste like you think." Now I'm adding the starch slurry to thicken it. And there it is, getting ready, nice and bubbly. And you want this to cool before you put it in your hand pies. It needs to be cooled, okay? Now we're going to flatten out the dough and get it ready for, um, you know, to get it together for our little pie. So see this little bit of dough, it yielded five. I think I made 5 hand pies out of this dough, just this one dough, and they were 6 inch. Um, yes, 5 or 6 inch hand pies. Yeah, and I bought this little gadget. I'll show you this little gadget. You see that little red um gadget up there? Yeah, that made it a little bit easier too. So I'm flattening out the dough. I didn't want to give you a long, drawn out process of me rolling dough. And I did a little peekaboo. I wasn't trying to get myself in there because I wasn't looking my best. Because I didn't want the camera to focus on me. Just wanted to focus on what I was doing. But hey, I did a peekaboo. You see me? Yeah. Yeah, I ain't got my wig on straight. I got it twisted. Yeah. You know how you just, get up and take your shower and say, you know what? Let me go ahead and put my little wig on. Because you're not going nowhere. I wasn't going anywhere. I wouldn't plan on being on camera either. But there it is. Okay, so here's my little gadget that I was telling you about. This little pie gadget to make whatever you got. And I like the fact that it's a cutter. You can cut her on one side. Okay. Hey, y'all. So there it cuts that, roll it out perfectly right there to make you a perfect hand pie. Go ahead and do another one. Yeah, look at her. Perfect. Perfect. So I made with some of the leftover dough, I made another one. And I, as much as I love to flour these to make sure that they don't stick and I can continue to roll them out, um, when you get ready to put your filling in here, let me tell you the mistake I made when doing this. I didn't. I needed to brush some of that flour off of the pastry dough. Now I'm putting 2 tablespoons of that filling into that dough. Now I should have brushed the edges of my dough and wet them. I could wet them with either egg wash or water, but wet them so they could stick together because they will pop open on you when you put them in the fryer, and you don't want that. So I had a couple of them pop open on me. Now they were still good, but you really do not want that. So I want to warn you: do not um, forget to wet those edges. Seal those edges real good too. Once you wet them, seal them, and then let them sit for a second. You can put them in the refrigerator for a minute or two before you drop them in the deep fryer. Now me, I just dropped them. I went rogue. I dropped them in the way I kind of remember my aunt doing them, and I've done these before. So yeah, but this time I did not seal. I used my little fancy gadget, and I did later on use a fork to seal some of those edges. But a couple of my pies popped open, and that was not a good deal there. Yeah, but they still tasted good. So I just want you to learn from my mistakes. I messed up, so you didn't have to. So yeah, finishing these up. Like I said, I think I got about 5 to 6 pies out of that from the dough as well as the filling. And you got all those pies from this there because I just wanted enough for me. So I was gonna, and you can put them in the refrigerator and have them for leftovers the next day or so. But yeah, I I love them. So I think this is like the last one. And once I am done with this, I'm gonna drop them in the fryer. And when you're using deep fryer, your fryer, be safe. I'm using a pot because I like using this pot, and I have this thing I call my little trusty cooktop, and I use that cooktop a lot because I like the way it holds temperature. it holds the temperature pretty well. I use it as a deep fryer for my chicken, for anything, because I'm making small batches, so I can use a smaller vessel, a smaller pot or pan, and I don't use as much oil. So I use this right here. It's an induction cooktop, and I use my little induction pots that I have, and I use those, and they act like deep fryers. And like I said, I like it because it holds the temperature. If as long as you set it right. And I think I have this temperature set for 275 to 300 on an induction. That's kind of high. You know, it's kind of high on induction. But if you're on a regular stove, then yeah, you're probably gonna want to jack it up to maybe 310, 320 or something like that on a stove. Everything varies because you have your gas, you have your electric, you have all these different types of cooktops. So you have to learn the temperature of what it is you're using. So I'm just dropping those in the oil. And like I said, those, I don't think these popped open, but I did have a couple that did pop open. And I'm actually glad that it happened, so that I could tell you guys, and then I could remember to do that for myself in the future. Like I said, I've done it before, but I just wanted to use this cute little gadget and trying to be fancy. And then I didn't seal the edges like I could have sealed it together with a little bit of water or a little bit of egg wash or something. So it's about time to take these out. Be safe, y'all. I do stuff with hot oil, but you have to be safe. Practice safety when you're doing this, because you don't want to burn yourself. Look out for your cooktop. You don't want it to burn yourself or anything else. So there it is. Now that's one. It is finished. Look at there. It's nice and golden. Yeah. You can put ice cream with it. I had ice cream with mine. And then you can put them, after you refrigerate them, put them in a little container, airtight container in the refrigerator. You can go back the next day and you can pop one in the oven or pop one in the microwave. Also, you can cook these in the oven as well. You don't have to deep fry them at all. You can cook them in the oven. You can make them in the air fryer if you want. You don't have to deal with all this hot oil. Yeah, you don't have to even pull that out. Just pop it in your air fryer or slide it in your oven. Even better if you put it in the oven. It's healthier. See, look at that. That's not good. That's not good practice sticking your hand in there. But I got those tough fingers, you know what I'm saying? So we are about done. So how many did that make? About five hand pies? Maybe I thought it was six, but I guess it was just five. And so now I made some glaze. And on the glaze, it's easy. It's just, let me see, how many of those pies did I get? That glaze is real easy. It's just a cup of powdered sugar, couple of 2-3 tablespoons of milk or heavy cream if you want, and some vanilla extract. And you mix all that together and go ahead and put those on your pies. I use this brush because there ain't no sense in drizzling it. Just go ahead and slather it on there. You want it nice and yummy, thick. You want all your flavors. You don't need a drizzle. Why drizzle? You know? You want to be drenched with it. You want to be slathered with it. Somebody come and say, you want me to drizzle your blessing or you want me to slather it on? Child, slather my blessing on. Give me all of it. I don't need the drizzle. I want the whole thing. Hook me up. Ain't it right, y'all? Yes, I'm just slathering it on there. And it's yeah. We are about finished. Yeah. And it's really, like I said, it's an easy recipe, you know. If it's something you really want, you do it. Of course, you can always buy a hand pie, but why would you when you know how to make them? It's nothing better than homemade. There they are, the finished product. Yummy hand pies, ready for some ice cream. Something. And there you go. Pop that open. Nice and yummy. Friends, I thank you for joining me for this video. I'll see you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.